Travolting presents The Fraser's Edge. Hosted by Jeff Sweeney and Stuart Elmore. Covering Younger and Younger. Enjoy the episode.
Oh, Jeff, there's something wrong.
What?
I feel like I'm getting very younger and younger and younger. Hey!
Stuart just Benjamin Buttoned himself.
I know, right?
That was maybe our sweatiest opening.
Do you like that?
Yeah. That's right, folks, because this week we're here to talk about the 1993 direct-to-video comedy classic, Younger and Younger.
Heard of it? No one else has.
I sure didn't.
Oh, my God. Starring Donald
Sutherland, who I was like, oh, I'm going to get to see a younger Donald Sutherland. And then he comes in this man. I'm like, oh, no, I'm just seeing an old Donald Sutherland.
Just a regular old Donald Sutherland. The man looks the exact fucking same as he has, like, over...
He's 87 now.
No
And he still roughly kind of looks the same.
Holy shit. Does he? He's really 87?
He's 87, yeah.
Fuck.
He finished the Hunger Game movies off in his 80s.
Wow.
He is very good in those Hunger Games movies.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
But yeah.
First shot already.
So yeah, this is the classic comedy duo you've all been clamoring for.
I'm
Donald Sutherland, Brendan Fraser, and Lolita Davidovich in Younger and Younger.
Yeah, I need to wake up. This is gonna be a rough one, ladies and gentlemen.
Just got to get hyped.
I gotta get a little hyped because how does this movie start?
Well,
how does this movie go?
Well,
and how does this movie end?
So let me brief context corner, and I do mean brief. So this movie is written. This is seemingly a family affair. This movie is directed by Percy Adlin, written by Percy Adlin and Felix Adlin, and it's produced by Eleanor Adlin. Percy Adlin is a German director. He's part of the new German cinema movement. Mm-hmm. Apparently, he's most well known for, and this is all off Wikipedia, because there's nothing on IMDb. He's been noted for positive portrayals of lesbian relationships, so he's kind of progressive in pushing, LGBTQ representation to the forefront of his movies.
That's shocking to me.
Which is cool because this movie features none of that.
Yeah, quite the opposite, actually. Very sexist movie.
Yes. From what I can tell, he really hasn't directed any major American movies. Mm-mm. It looks like it's just this and a movie called Baby Cakes. Those are his English language movies.
Yeah.
But, knowing that this does come from, for lack of a term, a German, expressionist guy makes a little more sense. Mm-hmm. But this movie is, lost in a sea of tonality.
Right.
It doesn't quite know what it is. Because it's trying to be a comedy, but it's almost too austere to be a comedy.
Yeah.
It's very strange. It's a very strange movie. One that the entire time I'm watching, I'm like, I should love this, and I'm not. Which I think is its ultimate failing. I
didn't love any of this movie, and I kind of partly fell asleep during this movie.
Because there's parts where I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, why am I not getting hyped about this? There's this movie is full of harsh lighting, of bright greens and reds and sharp angles. This is all the stuff that I love expressionism in movies. Where you do something interesting with it. And then it just does nothing. It doesn't do anything interesting with that.
Right.
It just puts it there.
Right.
So we can honestly just dive right into the plot. When it comes to Fraser, he's in this movie, but it's really just he hasn't necessarily popped off yet when he agrees to be in this movie, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was attracted by the idea of working with kind of an indie download director.
And Donald Sutherland does somewhat have a name.
Yeah, Donald Sutherland's respected.
Yeah.
So I'm sure to Fraser, there's a lot of elements of coming off after Encino Man and School Ties.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'll get to work with this indie director on this weird movie, and Sutherland's there. It'll be great. And it doesn't help him. It doesn't hurt him. No one really sees this movie because it only gets sent out to video. It doesn't get released in theaters.
Yep. Should we get the hair ranking done and over with?
Yes. Do you want to just do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Cue the hair ranking music. Welcome to the hair ranking. Let me look up a photo of Brendan Fraser in this. So I only can get one photo of Brendan Fraser, and it's not a very good photo where I can see his hair very well.
It's his usual hair.
It's his usual hair. Put it above.
Stuart's very locked into this.
Very
episode,
locked
folks.
in. Put it above Child of Darkness, below $20.
Okay.
Squishy number 4.
A squishy number 4. Copy it, squishy.
Yeah. So that's the hair ranking. All right,
Yeah.
Jeff, have fun with the rest of this episode.
Stuart is taking his headphones off. He's out.
It is now a Jeff Sweeney solo episode.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
should do something like that.
An episode where I just do the whole... No. Well,
no.
I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to get this so you don't have to do an episode.
No, but like seriously, where we do one where it's just you and
So
we
it's like, what if every episode it's just you talking?
No. No, I just mean one. Just one. It's not this one, but I just
Yes.
mean, and then there's one where it's just me and you don't show up and do anything. Like I just think it'd be a funny little special.
Fun bit.
A fun bit where it's just one episode it was just you, and then one episode it's just me. I don't know. I think
It might be... Oh, sure, we'll talk about it, whatever.
okay.
Oh my god, he's loopy, folks. He's loopy.
Yeah.
Okay, so this bartender. No, no. Okay, so this movie starts in the exact same way that $20, our episode we covered last week, starts with a Linda Hunt narration,
monologue.
and she's just like, Los Angeles, City Angels. Yes. And it's like, okay, just like people come here to follow their dreams, and the dream we're following today, we're going over, and we go over the LA skyline, and like an arrow's pointing to a little like storage facility, and so it's younger
storage.
Yeah,
and it's in the middle of Nebraska and Omaha Avenue.
Yes, and we're introduced to Jonathan Younger, played by Donald Sutherland, who's like a playboy. Who runs his little kingdom of a storage facility
with his wife.
Penny, who actually does all the running, and Jonathan's just like the face of it.
Yeah.
He just like charms all the employees and plays his organ in the roof.
And screws women.
Yeah, sleeps with other women who are not his wife. And then he goes to the local club every night and dances.
Yeah.
And like everyone in the area knows his name. They know him, even though he doesn't do any work for his job.
Right.
His wife runs the whole thing. He's just like the face and the name.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the ultimate example of like, I guess if
capitalist
there's
CEO.
some like weird capitalism allegory to this, which I'm not convinced that there is. But it's like, he's the face of something.
But doesn't do any of the
work.
He
doesn't do any of the labor.
He is the Jeff Bezos of the storage unit, you might say.
Yes. Jeff Bezos, who tries to charm us and be like, I go to the same Denny's every time Amazon makes a lot of money to show myself where I'm from. And I'm like, fucking Denny's? Like,
man has enough money to buy Denny's.
Yeah. Okay. I'm like, great, bro. But, he just kind of walks through the storage facility. We kind of get the chaos. I was kind of into this beginning because we just kind of are getting like slice of life elements of this storage facility and like all the weird people who come here.
Do we see Linda Hunt get trapped in a storage unit?
We do.
She voluntarily.
Yeah, she locks herself in there to work every day.
Yeah.
But
don't let me out until 4:30.
I was kind of into this movie when I thought I knew what it was going to be about.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to kind of be in the vein of like what's it called? The Florida Project.
Yeah.
Where essentially you're just like, it's this motel, and we're going to tell the stories of the people who like come here or live here every day.
Yeah.
And Sutherland's just like the central character who's always there.
Yeah.
Like Willem Dafoe in that movie.
Yeah.
That's what I thought this was going to be. I'm like, oh, that's a really a compelling concept.
Here's the problem, though, Jeff.
Yes.
Florida Project's a good movie.
Well, that's what I thought. I'm like, oh, this is a compelling idea here, where we're just kind of like this playboy who like, you know, kind of runs his kingdom, but he doesn't do any of the work for it. And it's going to be all the people who maybe are exploited by him, or maybe he's a benevolent guy, whatever. But I was like, this is a good end to this movie. But then we don't do anything with any of the other characters throughout the whole movie.
They're
window dressing.
They're useless.
They're window dressing.
Yeah.
Because the movie quickly becomes a ghost story.
Yeah. So a lady... I'm probably skipping a million different plot
I do want to
points.
quickly point out in the opening credits that go by, the score to this movie is done by Hans Zimmer.
No shit.
Yeah, Hans Zimmer did the score to this, which is very strange. I mean, he's German.
Yeah.
As is the director. So that
All the
element makes
German
sense.
folks worked on this movie, I guess.
But also the choreography for this movie, because there are a few dance sequences, inexplicably, in this movie.
Yeah.
Is done by Patsy Swayze, who is Patrick Swayze's mom. So the choreography for this was done by Patrick Swayze's mom. Yeah. And the first thing I said when we saw Sutherland is what you said earlier, that I'm like, holy shit, he looks exactly the same as he did now. He doesn't. We kind of see the beginning of his day, and then he goes to a local coffee shop. And right before he comes in, there's this woman and her daughter go into the coffee shop and get coffee.
You already remember way more than
And then
I
when
do.
they leave, all the people in the coffee shop are like, that was Zigzag Lillian! That was Zigzag Lillian!
Who's Zigzag Lillian?
Sutherland comes in, and they're like, you know who you just missed? And he's like, Zigzag Lillian? And they're like, yes, actually! Because he was just reading a newspaper article about... She's someone who, like, supposedly killed her husband.
Yeah.
It turns out it was an
Stole
accident
all
by
his
the
money.
end. He stole all his money. It was an accident by the end, but...
Yeah.
So yeah, that happens. And then Zigzag Lillian goes to his storage facility and buys a unit to hide something in. And he comes back and his employees are
Do
like,
we ever figure out
guess
what
who
that
you
is?
missed? And he's like, Zigzag Lillian, like, yes, actually. And he's like, no shit. And then he goes up and plays his organ.
Yeah, he has an organ on the second floor of his
And
office building.
Zigzag Lillian's daughter, Melody, who's played by Julie Delpy.
Yeah. Whose role in this movie is to...
Be present.
Be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but
This is great content.
yeah, it's great content. But no, he finds her crying, and he's like, "Here, come watch, come to my room where I lock the door." And it's like a little creepy, and I wrote, "This guy's being creepy."
Yeah.
And he is a creep, big time in this movie.
Yeah.
But he's not bringing up to have sex with her. He brings her up so he can play his organ and
Yeah.
delight her with his whimsy. And she's delighted by the whimsy. She's like, "Thank you, sir."
That whimsy was delightful.
Yeah, she's like, that was delightful whimsy. Thank you.
How many times can we fit delightful whimsy?
That is what this guy's whole bit is. And he's like, I'm so whimsical. I'm so delightful.
Yeah.
And his family's like, the business is collapsing. And he's like, it's whimsical, isn't it?
It's like, you gotta pay your taxes, you
And
bitch.
he keeps saying, when I immigrated to the U.S. And I'm like, Donald, you're just doing your U.S. accent. Where are you supposed to be from?
I don't know.
I think he's from England because like the storage facility, every
Yeah.
section is named like Trafalgar Square or Piccadilly Circus or something.
Yeah, I think it's English.
And at one point he says, that bloody inflation. I'm like, okay, Donald. Okay, Donald.
Okay, wait till you get to 2022.
Yeah. So, yes.
Is this where he sleeps with the woman in the organ room?
Well, we established he has a contentious relationship with his wife because she does all the work and he does nothing, and she hates that.
And he doesn't have any attraction for
Yeah.
her because she's old.
Yes, and he keeps asking.
Old women should die.
And he keeps asking for money to send to their son.
Brendan Fraser.
What's his name? Winston, younger.
Winston.
Winston, who's in the UK for school.
What's his middle name?
I don't know.
It's Winston Churchill.
Oh yeah, it is
Younger.
Winston Churchill, isn't it? They
Yeah.
do say that. Ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. do I
Yeah, Winston
remember that?
Churchill younger.
Oh,
And they send him, and he's like, we need to send him more money. And she's like, we don't have money. And he's like, nonsense, we'll make money.
it's like, it's my call.
Yes. And then he's like, I want to put a new sign up that says younger and younger. She's like, we don't have the money for that. And he's like, damn, we don't have the money for that. So it's cool, whatever. Great dude.
Delightful whimsy.
Yeah, it's delightful. The whimsy is just, it's whimsical, isn't it? So he gets into an argument with her, and she pulls out a loaded revolver and shoots it in the ceiling.
Yeah.
And I do really like the detail that when the camera cuts to like the bullet impact, you see there are like 7 bullet holes up there, implying this is a regularly scheduled occurrence.
Yeah.
That they argue she pulls out the gun and shoots it in the same spot in the ceiling, and like almost hits his organ, and he's upset about it.
Yeah.
So in response, he grabs her friend and goes up to so he can show her his organ, and they have sex on the organ.
He shows her his organ.
He shows her his organ,
but not the organ you're thinking about.
Yeah, it's a very wild sex scene.
It is,
because it's like this organ music, like, and meanwhile he's like going to town. They're going to town on each other. It's like fast snap zooms of like pipes and organs, and everything's green and orange.
Very dark.
Yeah, and then his wife downstairs, Penny, starts having a heart attack, and she drops dead.
She dies.
Then and there.
And it's witnessed by one of the
an
guys.
employee.
Yeah.
And so they're like, get an ambulance. We cut to the airport.
Yeah, Jonathan doesn't really have any reaction to this.
Yeah, he's like, oh shit, she died. Well, that sucks.
Well, that sucks.
He's kind of hyped about it, though.
A little bit hyped.
My
old bagged up wife died.
Yeah, his problem is like, someone else has to run the business now.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll promote my son to do it.
Right.
So he gets Winston at the airport, puts him in charge of the business.
Brendan Fraser, who is playing a very bedazzled version, because he's very like, Dad!
What voice is he doing in this movie?
I told you.
He's kind of talking like this. He's like, Dad, I gotta modernize the business. He's like, we need a computer. Oh. If I don't get a C on this test, Mr. Bird's gonna kick me out of the audio-visual club. Oh.
That is how he talks.
He kind of is doing that.
That's how he talks. It's very whiny.
Yes.
It's like, Dad, we gotta pay our taxes.
Yes. That is literally most of this movie.
Yeah.
He's yelling about paying taxes and shit.
And what is Jonathan's response?
Yes.
Delightful.
Yes, that's great. We should do it later.
Delightful whimsy.
This movie is basically like Fraser's role in this movie is basically he just yells about paying taxes for like an hour, and then the movie ends, and he kisses the girl. And
you can find us on all our podcasts.
Yeah, find us at Travolting Pod. But no, I'm
what's
chipping this off?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Why are you chipping it off? Is that new-ish?
Yeah, on Friday, 2 people at work were doing it to people, so I got my middle fingers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
That was funny.
Jeff painted his middle finger nail.
Yeah, so when I flipped people off, it was like
bright color. Was that really the reason?
That was the reason.
Just to flip people off with the color?
Yes.
Who was doing it?
Allison and Anna Kovid.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That checks. That tracks.
But
but you don't know those people.
Yeah, no one knows who those people are.
But if they listen to our podcast.
Yeah, hi guys.
Hi.
Anyway. So fuck, what happens now? Okay. So she's dead. He puts Fraser in charge of the business.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of like plays around.
He does his normal shtick.
And like cannot quite remember what happens for the next 45 minutes.
Well, he sees his wife.
He starts seeing a ghost
dead
of his
wife. Getting
younger and
younger.
And they renamed the business Younger and Younger. Because now there's 2 Youngers involved in it.
Yeah.
So it's double meaning and shit. Whatever. So the yes, and the ghost is getting younger and younger. She's like, ghosts report we eventually revert to our ideal form of ourselves. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so he's like
basically
getting poltergeisted by his dead wife.
Yeah, who wants to get back to her young, more attractive self.
And she keeps messing up the business for him. And meanwhile, Fraser's just like, nothing's working.
He's like, he's slipping away. I need to ask him something, and he's not doing anything.
But he starts getting attracted to the ghost because it's getting younger and younger.
Yeah.
And this
got really gross.
Kind of culminates in this actually rather impressive dance sequence that I liked.
Okay.
Because like he goes upstairs to play his organ, and while he's playing the organ, Penny appears as a ghost.
Yeah.
And Dan has an entire song and dance routine with him. And it's Patsy Swayze. There's some Swayze in it, so it's kind of well choreographed and well shot. And I like the sequence.
Cheers.
Yeah, it was good. It was fun. ostensibly the idea becomes that he's trying to he's like kind of learning to be a better man through this, I guess.
How?
I don't know. There's no real lesson in this movie.
I really don't know.
No one about. All I know is that Zigzag Lillian shows back up, is found to not have been guilty of killing her husband. Then her husband's ghost shows up and falls in love with Penny's ghost, and then Jonathan dies at the very end.
Holy shit! Really? No. And then wait, but then Winston and Zigzag Lillian's daughter fall in love.
Yes.
Randomly. I don't know where.
Zigzag's daughter, Melody, falls in love with Fraser. And Fraser gets mad at his dad for hiding that he was sleeping with other women and being. Fraser thinks his dad's responsible for his mom's death, which he ostensibly was.
Yeah.
And so he takes a sledgehammer to the younger and younger sign and locks up the organ, and his dad breaks in and continues to play the organ and try and be with his wife. Because that's how he can summon her ghost, and he keeps trying to kill himself, and he keeps failing at it.
Yeah. Comes basically Donald Sutherland gets dementia.
There's literally an hour of wheel turning in this movie.
Yeah.
Nothing happens for this hour besides everything we've just described. It's there's a ghostly dance number, some poltergeisting, and then Sutherland starts trying to kill himself.
Yeah.
And keeps failing until eventually he
gets
succeeds.
on his bike and he's riding on the road somewhere, and then his wife appears to him. It's I'm touching you now. It's I can actually touch you this time. And then
we
cut to
them in heaven.
Them in the clouds wearing white robes.
Yeah, and they're like, we'll be together forever. And the movie ends.
Except it doesn't.
Oh, yes, there's a post scene.
It's an epilogue where Fraser and Melody are side by side running the business.
And they have a son.
And then Zigzag Lillian is now donning the white
Sutherland's suit.
Yeah, with the hat.
Yeah.
Comes down.
He's dressed as John Hammond. In
yeah.
This movie.
It's spare no expense.
Yes. I have no
we
idea.
We have a new lounge upstairs.
I fully have no idea where the motivation for any of this ending came from.
No, me neither.
I'm so wait, this was building to them falling in love and having a son, and why is Zigzag taking over the business? I was very lost.
I was very lost too
by the ending of this movie.
And that's younger and younger.
Yes. Fraser has nothing to do in this movie.
No.
He spends the entire thing sitting at a computer being oh, it's not working.
We got to pay our taxes.
Yeah.
We got to pay our taxes.
There's not really a father-son reconciliation to this movie that's well done.
Yeah.
I don't know what they want me to talk about this movie, for lack of a better term.
Ooh, I don't really either. Did you find any box office info on this movie?
It did not get released in theaters.
Oh shit!
This was only released direct to video, VHS.
Wait, so then did we get? So there's no box office or grossing or budget numbers.
I could not find anything.
We don't even know how much it cost.
No, I would guess $3 million, maybe 2.
Really?
Maybe a little
maybe
less.
3. 3 seems reasonable.
Weird movie.
Yeah, weird movie. Sorry that this is going to be.
Yeah, this isn't the most hype episode, but it's a short one.
Yeah,
so.
It's a short one, but don't watch this movie.
Yeah, it's cheap on Amazon, so if you're interested,
but there's nothing for you for this movie, folks. If anything, just watch $20 again.
Yeah, or watch one of the other better movies that we've talked about in this show.
Yeah, School Ties. Watch School Ties.
School Ties, fine movie.
It's a good movie.
Or you could watch the movie we're going to cover next week,
which is.
Next week, you can tune in and listen to our episode on Son-in-Law.
Son-in-Law.
The next Pauly Shore classic.
No!
Where we will be joined by Rebecca Johnson as our guest.
Wow. First guest episode. Not first guest.
We had Matt on
Encino Man. Yeah.
Second.
We recorded those episodes a long time ago, so I forget.
Yeah, our second.
Our second guest episode.
Yeah, and it's the second Pauly Shore one.
Course.
What if we just only did Pauly Shore?
Well, how many would that be? Not a lot.
3.
3.
There's 2 more Pauly Shores on this show.
Oh my God.
We got Son-in-Law, which will be next week, and then we have In the Army Now coming up in a few weeks. Our next few weeks are looking like, folks, you can tune in next week to Son-in-Law. Then it's With Honors, the Joe Pesci college comedy. Airheads, In the Army Now, The Scout, The Passion of Darkly Noon. That's our next few weeks.
Looking pretty good.
It's looking fun. Yeah, make sure to tune in for that. And as always, please remember to rate, review, subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. As a reminder, we are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Find us at Travolting Pod on Twitter or Instagram. r/Travolting. What? What do you keep looking at the fucking screen for?
This is going to be a 25-minute episode. We've literally been talking for 25 minutes.
Like, what else is there to say?
I don't know. I don't know.
I watched this movie 2 hours ago, and it's already left my brain. I cannot remember anything that happened.
Okay. Yeah, I guess continue with the
and
outro.
There's nothing exciting that happens.
No, there's not.
You fucked a little treat, a short episode.
Yeah.
Trolting Podcast at gmail.com if you want to send us anything like, why did you do this? Why did you make me watch this fucking movie?
Yeah.
You can find me on Twitter at Jeff W. Sweeney.
Find me on Instagram at Stuart Elmore95.
And as always, special thanks to
Sure.
Rebecca Johnson for our graphic design and Michael Van Bodegum Smith for the theme music that is now taking you out.
Is there anything you want to bullshit for another 5 minutes? Is there anything we get just to get to that crisp 30-minute mark?
Chris 30, we got to, no,
there's
27, 27, in and
It's
out.
25 minutes and 40 seconds right now.
What else is there to say?
Nothing. Goodbye.